is round 2. We're looking specifically at Group 12.
Which means every single album here has already won, or at least placed second. They've already proven themselves in an earlier round. They're survivors.
So our job today is to unpack Greenstorox's notes, his thinking, his personal calls, to see which 2 albums from this group made it to round 3.
2 move on, 2 get cut. And just look at this group, Group 12. It really shows the wild variety in his collection.
It's quite a lineup. You've got Eminem's big compilation, Curtain Call, The Hits.
Then, totally different, Goldfinger's ska punk album, Hang-Ups.
Then Roger Waters' massive prog rock concept piece, Amused to Death.
And finally, James Blunt with some kind of trouble, more in that pop soft rock vein.
I mean, Eminem, Goldfinger, Waters, Blunt. How do you even begin to compare those? It's like a musical mixed martial arts fight.
Exactly. But before we get into how he ranked them in this round, we need context.
Absolutely. We need to know how they got here. Who did they beat in round 1?
Because knowing who they eliminated tells you so much about the album's quality to him and, what he values in this whole album quest.
Right. You can't just look at these 4 in isolation. They all came in first or second in their initial groups. They fought their way here.
Understanding that journey, the albums they left behind, it sets the stage. It shows the kind of competition they've already overcome.
And this is where the subjectivity really hits you. These aren't just good albums he likes. They beat out some serious heavy hitters, some absolute classics, just to make it to round 2.
Yeah, let's start with maybe the most surprising qualifier based on the competition. James Blunt's Some Kind of Trouble.
Okay, so Blunt took first place in his round 1 group, Group 146. Now listen to who he beat.
Right, this is where it gets interesting. He didn't just edge out some unknowns. He beat Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell.
Bat Out of Hell.
Yeah.
I mean, the sheer scale of that album, the drama, the production, it's legendary.
And Blunt's album came out on top, but wait, there's more.
Oh yeah, it gets even crazier. Also in that group, 2 titans of thrash metal.
Metallica's And Justice for All. Super complex, technical, aggressive.
And Megadeth's debut, Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good. Raw, foundational thrash.
So James Blunt's pop soft rock album beat Meatloaf, Metallica, and Megadeth.
What does that even tell you? It has to mean that for Greenstorox, things like genre, historical impact, critical acclaim, they just don't matter as much as sheer personal connection and maybe musical execution.
It seems that way. For Some Kind of Trouble to win that group, it clearly resonates with him on a massive level. It sets a really high bar for our expectations of this album in round 2.
It really hammers home that this album quest is purely about his experience. Okay, let's shift to Eminem. Curtain Call, The Hits.
Another first-place finish in round 1. This was Group 128, and again, some major competition.
The biggest name, Elton John.
Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, a double album masterpiece, iconic songs, incredible songwriting, just a landmark record.
And Eminem's compilation album beat it.
Yeah. Also in that group was Enigma's MCMXCAD, which was huge, defined that sort of atmospheric electronic sound for a while.
And Dragon Force's Valley of the Damned, super high-energy power metal.
So for a greatest hits package to take out something like Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, it suggests the sheer density of iconic, powerful tracks on Curtain Call must have been overwhelming.
Maybe it's that concentration of peak moments. Like an album of all killer, no filler, even if it's a compilation, can sometimes hit harder in this format than a more consistently flowing studio album.
Could be. That concentrated impact, maybe track for track, just resonated more strongly in those repeated listens. Okay, now for the real curveball.
Goldfinger. Hang-Ups. This is the one that even the author, Greenstorox, seems surprised by.
He admits he generally doesn't like ska punk, finds it lacking in musicality, I think was the phrase.
Pretty dismissive, yeah. Yet Hang-Ups didn't just scrape through round 1. It won its group first place in Group 169.
Against who? Well, Lily Allen's It's Not Me, It's You Smart Witty Pop.
And Tool's 10,000 Days. Complex, progressive metal, hugely respected.
But the real shocker, the album that came in behind Goldfinger.
The Clash. London Calling.
London Calling, one of the most critically acclaimed, influential albums ever made, period.
How? How does Hang-Ups beat London Calling? I mean, even if you love Goldfinger, that seems wild.
It's pure subjectivity in action. It tells you that whatever Hang-Ups does, it does it so effectively for him that it overrides his genre bias and the monumental status of The Clash.
Maybe it's nostalgia.
Yeah.
Or just a perfect execution of that specific sound that clicked.
Whatever it is, that round 1 win is a massive statement. It proves personal enjoyment trumps everything else in this quest. Okay, finally, Roger Waters.
Amused to death. His big conceptual prog rock statement. Also a first-place winner from Group 173.
This group was, well, eclectic is the word, a real mixed bag.
Yeah, another Dragon Force album, Ultra Beatdown.
REM's New Adventures in Hi-Fi, which is maybe a bit more of a cult favorite REM album.
And the ultimate wild card, Weird Al Yankovic, straight out of Linwood.
Ha! So Waters had to overcome power metal, alternative rock royalty, and musical parody.
Still a diverse group. And his album, with its serious themes and complex music, came out on top. Probably the conceptual weight carried it through there.
Likely. So that's the setup. 4 winners from round 1, each taking down significant competition. Blunt, Eminem, Goldfinger, Waters. Now
they face each other in round 2, Group 12. Who survived? Who got eliminated? The notes apparently were quite clear on the winner.
Yes. According to Greenstorox's write-up, one album easily took the top spot. No contest, really.
And that album was James Blunt, Some Kind of Trouble.
Yep. After that incredible round 1 showing, it dominated again here.
What was it about the album that made it stand out so much? The notes mention a shift in style.
Right. He points out that Blunt's first 2 albums, Back to Bedlam and All the Lost Souls, which he calls superb, by the way, were much more melancholic.
The big sad ballads he was known for.
Exactly. But with Some Kind of Trouble, Blunt went slightly more upbeat. A conscious change.
And that change worked for Greenstorox.
Big time. The notes rave about the execution, phrases like, sounds gorgeous instrumentally.
Gorgeous. Instrumentally.
Okay. And clinically good stuff. That suggests real precision, like perfect pop rock craftsmanship.
Clinically good. Like technically flawless.
Yeah.
Polished.
I think that's the implication. Immaculate production, everything clean, perfectly mixed. Maybe a contrast to the, raw energy of some of the albums it beat or the density of the Waters album in this group.
Does he mention specific tracks?
He does. Heart of Gold, and these are the words get called out.
Okay.
And Best Laid Plans is labeled superb. So clearly there are standout moments of high quality, well-structured pop rock.
But it wasn't all high intensity, right? You said it was more upbeat, but also balanced.
Yeah, that seems key. He notes that other tracks, like So Far Gone, I'll Be Your Man, and Stay the Night, they deliberately, dramatically lower the intensity.
So it gives you a breather.
Yeah.
A dynamic range.
Exactly. A cheerful dip, as he puts it. Keeps the album from feeling relentless. The whole thing is described as just way more cheery than Blunt's earlier work.
So the combination of that instrumental polish, the strong song structures, and this successful shift to a cheerier mood, that was the winning formula.
It seems so. He calls it a cracking little album. It's like the successful change in direction really impressed him, maybe more than just sticking to a proven formula would have.
Interesting. Okay, so Blunt takes first. Who squeaked through in second place to advance to round 3?
That would be Eminem with Curtain Call. The hits. It just about made it.
Just about. So it was close between second and third.
Very close, it seems. But Eminem's compilation got the edge. This is where I think the sheer weight of those massive hits comes into play.
Right. The irony the author points out, Eminem starts by mocking pop stars and releases this huge pop compilation himself.
Yeah, but with the caveat that these hits weren't just pop. They pushed pop into a new edgy direction. They changed the landscape.
True. You can't deny the impact of the songs on this collection. It covers that breakthrough period up to 2005.
Exactly. We're talking about monumental tracks. Stay on the storytelling.
Unforgettable.
Cleaning Out My Closet, so raw and personal.
Yeah.
The real Slim Shady, just pure, defiant energy. This isn't just a collection of songs, it's a cultural snapshot.
And the collaborations, too. He mentions Guilty Conscience with Dr. Dre.
A classic. And Shake That with Nate Dogg described as more club-oriented rap.
And he even notes the double G in Nate Dogg. That's attention to detail.
It shows how deep he gets into this stuff. But here's the interesting part. Despite all that star power, Greenstorox actually says he prefers Eminem's studio albums.
Really? He finds them much more captivating.
Yeah. So the compilation format isn't his ideal way to experience Eminem. However,
the quality of the individual tracks was just too high to ignore.
Pretty much. The notes say there is still enough quality here to just about see off Goldfinger. It won based on the strength of its peak moments, its highlights reel, not necessarily its flow as an album.
Okay, so Eminem advances, which means the album that came at a very close third, just missing out, was Goldfinger's Hang-Ups.
Exactly. And this is such a fascinating result, given how openly Greenstocks dislike ska punk as a genre.
He called it pathetically devoid of any genuine musicality. That's harsh.
It really is, but he's self-aware about it. And yet this specific album, Hang-Ups, overcomes that massive bias.
He calls it a good little album, and
Mhm.
crucially, his most favorite ska punk album.
Which, as he admits, is not much praise coming from him. But context is everything. Beating London, calling in round one, and now almost beating an Eminem hits collection in round two, that's significant.
So what made this ska punk album different for him? Why did it work when the genre usually doesn't?
He describes it as spunky, having that punk angst, the obligatory couple of fuck yous, but critically, it also had well-delivered rock songs.
Okay, so maybe better structure, better songwriting than he expected.
That seems to be part of it. But the key musical element he highlights is the use of brass.
The horns. Staple of the genre.
Yes, but he notes plenty of brass segments layered throughout and between the guitar rock.
Layered, what does that imply? More complex arrangements.
I think so. Not just simple, repetitive horn lines following the beat, but actual interwoven parts, adding melody and harmony, creating a richer sound.
So that complexity, that layering, lifted it above his usual perception of the genre.
That seems to be the argument. It provided musical depth he usually finds missing. He mentions tracks like 20C, Goodbye, and Carlita as examples. They felt like real rock songs to him, not just ska exercises.
Interesting. And he also mentions the timing, right? The whole American Pie era comedy thing.
Yeah, placing it in that cultural moment, and admits it's the only Goldfinger album he'd ever listened to.
So a strong first impression that stuck. Beat the Clash, nearly beat Eminem. A real dark horse performance.
Absolutely, which leaves only one album left, the one that came in fourth.
And sadly for prog fans, that was Roger Waters' Amused to Death. The notes say it was easily bettered by the other three, a clear last place.
A tough result for such an ambitious album. The immediate comparison drawn is, inevitably, to Pink Floyd.
The Wall, specifically. He says Amused to Death has similar dark passages, but doesn't use them anywhere near as effectively.
The main criticism seems to be about the execution, the production choices. It's described as too busy, too sample-heavy.
Too busy, too sample-heavy.
Hmm.
Okay, what does that mean in practice? It cluttered the sound.
Apparently, he felt it slowed down the action much too frequently. The pacing was off. It became overwhelming rather than immersive.
So it wasn't necessarily the themes, because the themes sound typically Waters' anti-establishment, anti-war.
Right. He acknowledges the messages are powerful, even if he also found them slightly confusing. The problem wasn't the what, but the how.
The delivery mechanism failed him. All those samples and audio snippets Waters used.
Yeah, the audio collage technique. Critiquing media saturation using sounds from media. Conceptually clever, maybe?
But in practice, for Greenstocks, they just got in the way, broke the flow.
Exactly. They functioned like interruptions, preventing sustained engagement. Unlike, say, The Wall, which pulls you in and holds you. This album apparently kept pushing him out.
I wonder, though, is it fair to just call it a poorer rehash of The Wall? Isn't that a bit dismissive? This sounds like the format itself might be punishing complexity.
That's a really valid point. Does a system based on repeated comparative listening inherently favor albums with more immediate, clean appeal over something dense that requires maybe solitary, focused listening?
It seems possible, because he does admit the album has good moments. It does get pretty good sometimes.
Especially tracks with soaring guitar solos, like What God Wants Part 3. Those moments broke through the clutter.
But ultimately, not enough to save it from the overall feeling of being too busy, too dense.
And then there's the detail that just perfectly sums up his frustration.
Oh, don't tell me. The monkeys.
The monkeys. The notes literally ask, what's with all the monkey noises?
Analyzing a deep, philosophical prog rock epic, and it comes down to complaining about monkey sound effects. That's the album quest in a nutshell.
It really is. So Amused to Death, despite being a brave prog rock melting pot of angst, just didn't maintain the engagement needed. Too much going on, too many distractions, apparently.
Okay, let's recap the final results for round 2, group 12 then.
All right. In fourth place, eliminated, Roger Waters' Amused to Death.
In third place, also eliminated but putting up a great fight, Goldfinger's Hang-Ups.
Advancing in second place, just making the cut, Eminem's Curtain Call, The Hits.
And the decisive winner, easily taking first place and moving on to round 3, James Blunt's Some Kind of Trouble.
So Blunt and Eminem survived this round.
Looking at these results, what does it tell us about Greenstocks' priorities in this quest, at least in this group?
While polish and execution seem paramount, Blunt's album, praised for being gorgeous instrumentally and clinically good, just sailed through.
While Waters' album, criticized for being too busy and too sample-heavy, sank. Clarity over clutter.
And successful deviation seems rewarded. Blunt shifting to a more cheery sound paid off. Goldfinger succeeding despite the genre bias because its execution, the layered brass, the rock songs, was strong enough.
It suggests maybe immediate sonic pleasure and well-crafted structure are valued more highly than, say, deep conceptual ambition or historical weight, if that ambition leads to a sound he finds cluttered or uneven.
Yeah, and the narrow gap between Eminem in second and Goldfinger in third suggests they were close in terms of delivering that immediate quality. Both offered concentrated doses of something he liked.
Whereas Blunt in first and Waters in fourth were clearly separated from the pack and each other, Polish won, density lost decisively.
It really highlights how personal this whole thing is. You'd never see these four albums compared like this in a magazine poll.
Absolutely not. Eminem's hits versus Waters' prog epic versus Goldfinger's ska punk versus Blunt's soft rock. It's a testament to one person's willingness to just listen and react honestly, regardless of genre lines. That's the core of the album quest.